what do you think hunting gives people, well, particularly you, beyond just the meat?
Yeah, I mean, it's time outside, right? It's sunrises, it's sunsets, it's the physicality, much to like the technical book that you have just come out with now about rucking or walking with weight. Like there's a euphoria that comes with going into the wilderness, whether it be hunting, fishing, you're looking for mushrooms, whatever it is. There's a euphoria that comes from peacefully and quietly moving about a space and becoming an observer. You're a frontline observer. You are picking apart everything from the birds, the fowl, the fish, the weather, and just that feeling as a human being, that quiet it's unreal.
Yeah. And I think that one of the important things that happens, because you brought up hunting, foraging, it's a search, right? And so humans evolved as hunters and gatherers. Every single day, we knew we needed food to survive. We had no idea where it was going to be. So we had to insert ourselves in nature. And granted, we lived in nature 100% of the time. Now we spend 93% of our time indoors. We had to go out and search. And that search had to be inherently rewarding for human beings, or else we wouldn't have continued to do it day in and day out. So I think one of the issues that we face today is that the same mechanics of the search for food, for hunting and gathering, they've been put in casino gambling, slot machines. It's same way social media works, all these different things. And that captures our attention the same way that those outdoor searches do, but in a way that doesn't give us all these important things like sunshine, like movement, like exposure to nature, like physical trials, like having to overcome things. And so that's been, it's almost a hijacking of this ancient system, and it doesn't always help us.
I totally agree. And even the things that we're doing, right? I have friends that, for instance, if I'm going to go fishing, I might get in a small boat and paddle down the Mississippi River and cast my lures to, current seams and cast behind logs and behind rocks and cast to places that I know where smallmouth bass or walleyes or muskies, where they're hiding for them to attack their prey. I might go about fishing that way. And then I have other friends that have a boat absolutely encapsulated in electronics with transducers facing out from every and it paints them a beautiful picture of this boulder, this tree. There's actually a fish laying right behind the second branch. It doesn't necessarily make them easier to catch, although you see exactly where it is. But I'll guarantee you that experience is diminished. Everything in our lives is brought up as a shortcut, like you said. And I mean, imagine, I've done this before. I've been so insanely dehydrated in the mountains because I've run out of water and I'm in an area where there aren't any streams, and I'm not going to have any water until I drop 5,000 feet, and then I have to find water. And I've went through that search and then found cold water. And to this day, it was one of the most euphoric experiences of my life. And I've done the same thing. Now, I've never truly been starving, but I've went 3 or 4 days without food until a pilot came and picked me up, or I went 3 or 4 days without food until I arrowed a duck and then was able to eat a duck or something like that. And that is, I mean, it's difficult for me to convey the excitement that you get, like holding a dead green-winged teal. It's snowing outside. I literally hiked 2 miles to come arrow this duck because I could see it on a pond 2 miles away. And I dropped down here to arrow this duck because I'm going to, I had to arrow this duck. Then I just stripped onto my underwear. So last week of September, I just swim out into a pond that's nearly frozen, grab this dead duck, swim back, dry off as much as I could, get dressed, hike back up, pluck the duck, cook it. But I mean, there's no greater experience.
And it's the best meal you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, it's unreal. And I wish we all still live that way. I really do. And I have no bane against farmers, but when agriculture started, we started having more babies. We started staying in one place. We started, our excrement was now in one place. And that started a ball rolling that we'll never be able to recover from. The earth will recover from it because, we'll go through some sort of event here that will probably greatly diminish, if not wipe human beings out. Whether that be in our lifetime or 50 lifetimes, who knows?
So one thing is that, when you tell stories about your hunts, it sounds so far away for the average person.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first kind of became interested in hunting, and it was probably from you and your work before I sent that email to ask you if I could join you on that hunt in Nevada. I remember looking at how do I start? And it was like, oh my God, there are so many things you have to do to get started. It's not like basketball where if I go, I want to play basketball. So I go to Walmart, I buy a ball, and then I just go to the court and I start throwing it at the rim. What I think is interesting, though, is most of my friends from high school that hunted, they grew up in hunting families. And so I think people would think, oh, you must have come from this long line of hunters, but you didn't. So how did you even get drawn into hunting and start to live this way?
And that's a really good question. And it's one that I can't entirely answer because when I was little, it was all I thought about. And I don't know if that came from my DNA or if that came from my dad's book collection, because my dad loved wildlife and he had all these different wildlife books. And I lost my dad this a little over a year ago. And there were questions. I have so many questions for my dad now that he's gone. But at his funeral, I was talking to one of his very best friends, and he was talking about this adventurous life that I live. And he said, "Boy, are you your father's son?" And I didn't get a chance that day, but I really wanted to ask him because I didn't see my dad as an adventurous man at all. And so I want to ask him. Obviously, he's referencing something in my dad's youth. And so I don't know what it is that, this gentleman was speaking of, but my dad had a really cool collection of old books, old hunting books, and books on military tactics and wilderness survival and fishing and all these different how-to books. And he had small game books, books that taught you how to hunt squirrels, rabbits, and crows back then, to books on hunting grizzly bears and moose. And I just dove into all these things. And I can sit here and say I then wanted to be a hunter or a big game hunter or whatever. But really, what I wanted, Michael, I think more than anything, is that I wanted to live a rural life. I wanted to live in a cabin. I wanted to have to kill a moose for my winter meat. And I haven't gotten all the way there, but that is what I wanted. That's the life that I wanted to live. Those are the things that I find most charming: splitting wood and having to heat your house with firewood, and going out and fishing and going out and hunting, because there is this euphoria of doing it on your own and supplying for yourself.
Yeah.